My name is Denzel. I am a rug maker, a leather crafter, a YouTuber, and social media content creator. My handle is Corrigo. So yeah, I started my career as a graphic designer. I was a graphic designer for 4 years, and I did this after I studied visual communication for 2 years at Birmingham City University, and I studied illustration and animation at Kingston University for a further 2 years. So it's funny because I did that, but then obviously I went into graphic design and social media, which really doesn't have uh, too much to do with each other. But I like to say that if you're a creative person, you can turn your hand to pretty much anything, because creativity falls into every realm. Everything that we touch, everything that you turn around, you look around in the room, it's been designed, which is a beautiful thing. So I quit my full-time career during the pandemic, like right at the start, to do social media. I'd already built up a nice, solid, like reasonable following. I had about 70,000 on Instagram at the time, and TikTok had only just started, so I didn't really have much on that. And then I pretty much built up from there. So I started by making tutorials. The first tutorial that I made was rug tufting, which obviously we're talking about today. And I was showing people how they can make their own rugs using cheap tools, expensive tools, and the different range of tools that you can use to make your own work. And it was very interesting as well, because a lot of the time trends when it comes to lifestyle or even creativity, they tend to imitate life. And so because the majority of the world all at once was trapped inside, a lot of the trends that were going viral on the internet were things about your living environment. So crafts you could do at home, furniture, interior design, content, minimalism, maximalism, anything to do with being inside the house, which obviously everyone had to face now. It became very big on social media. And so I was actually quite lucky that I was making that content at that time, because it went viral, quite a bit of it, on multiple platforms, which is great. So at the time I was a YouTuber as well, which I'm trying to get back into. But a lot of those videos did really well. And the good thing is that YouTube pays more than most of the social media platforms. So I was able to survive off of YouTube money while I was building my career and working on my craft. And so now I work a lot with brands. I've worked with Jaguar, I've worked with Barracuda, I've worked with MCM, I've worked with Nike, Adidas, Polaroid, Hypebeast, a whole bunch of different brands that I've been able to work with. And I basically make creative content based on whatever the brands need. And then on the side, I also have my own clothing brand, which is more of a merch brand, just where I use a lot of my designs in knitwear. And then on top of that, I also sell one-off pieces. So for example, the rugs that you see there, but I do that quite rarely just because it's more economical for me to spend my time working with brands. And yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell, creatively. It's important in multiple ways. Obviously, it's important for making money, so it's my job. It's important for my mental health as well. I think I worked all the way through university, and all the way and before university as well. Like I've pretty much worked as soon as I had my national insurance. So I've done pretty much every job. I've worked hospitality. I worked at the Palace. I've worked at arenas. I've worked in offices, but the only thing that actually gives me fulfillment, because you spend all your time at work, you more than you'll spend time with your family, with your friends, doing things that you love, you'll spend most of it doing work. So it's, if you're fortunate and privileged enough to be able to do something you actually love, that's a really great thing. And for my mental health and just all of that, it's great that I actually get to do what I like to do for a living. And then also just in general, like I think, we were talking about this before, Mary, like because I was a graphic designer for so long, a part of that is that it's not really my boss always used to say, it's not really your train set. So as a designer, your job is to just add value to something that already exists, which is great. But I think the beauty of what I'm doing now is that I actually get to be at the forefront of it. which is nice as a creative because you pour so much energy into creativity. And it's nice to be able to actually like be the face behind the thing that you're making. So it's so valuable to me. So I would say go to youtube.com/choreographed and look at the many tutorials I have for the many different ways that you can start making rugs. I would also say just go, so basically I break it down into 3 basics. So there's a really cheap option that takes a long time. That's if you want like a relaxing hobby. And there's like a middle ground where it's a bit more expensive, but it just takes less time. So if you actually want, you know, the results of your work. And then there's a third, which is more if you want to do professional. I think decide what you want to do with it first, because that will dictate what method you go down. And then from there, I would suggest that people just, you know, have fun with it, be different. The beauty of what's happening now with rug tufting is that because it's been brought into the modern age, so it was on, rug making was on the list of endangered crafts, I believe. And since content creators like myself have been making content about it since 2020, it's actually been taken off that list because it's just become popular again. And a lot of that is not just because of the content that's been made around it, but it's because of the versatility of the medium. You can really make a rug of anything. As you can see, I've got rugs for Pokemon, I've got rugs for trainers, I've got rugs for mythological creatures, like anything that speaks to you visually. Like it doesn't have to just be like a one color square that just sits on the floor. It can be a really beautiful piece of art. Sometimes I describe it as painting with thread, but it's actually, I think the barrier to skill level is actually a bit lower, which is great because it means that anyone can try it. So yeah. I just have a general love for creativity, and I'm quite I like being tactile. Like I can't really sit down and just do one thing for too long. That's why I couldn't really hold down all the other jobs that I had. So the best thing about any tactile craft like leather work or even obviously rug tufting is that it's so many different physical processes. So it kind of keeps me engaged. But no, the first rug that I made was the first one that I posted. And then as soon as I had enough information, you know, sometimes they say that you're supposed to stay one lesson ahead. So like as soon as I had just enough information, I started making tutorials and yeah. So I'm just so a lot of my childhood's like a lot of like the anime that I used to watch, anime that I still watch, streetwear, music, TV shows, anything that just kind of gives me creative energy. I'm influenced by. There's a lot of designers and artists I'm influenced by. I love Tyler the Creator, Virgil Abloh, rest in peace, Joshua Valdez, like a lot of just like really cool creatives. I love streetwear. I think Converse is like one of my favorite footwear brands. And a lot of my designs were based originally, because I started out upcycling clothing. I've done a lot of stuff. But I started out upcycling clothing, and a lot of the colorways are based off of Converse trainers. Just anything that just kind of gives me a creative like burst is something that I'm inspired by. I'm lucky that because I have a reasonable sized social media. So a lot of brands just see me anyway, and because what I do is so versatile. Like I do like just a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of different applications. I will say though, one of the advantages that I did have was that because I worked for a sportswear company and like I've seen how marketing works, I did tailor a lot of my work originally to be brandable. So a lot of time what brands will do is they'll reach out to a third party which will handle the branding for them, or maybe they'll have it in-house, but usually it's third party. And then they'll say, okay, we want to promote X, Y, and Z. And then what the third party will do is they'll find creatives and they'll go, we have an idea that Denzel will do this, this, and that, or Maisie will do this, this, and that. But what they'll base it off of is what you've already done. So you'll see on their mood boards, it's like, you know, it's a project that you've probably done self-initiated, and then they've just pitched that to the brand. So I've done a lot of different projects that were very, you know, tailored to certain brands and certain niches. So that, and I've seen my stuff on the board exactly as I would have wanted it to be, which is great because it means that it's working. So I think just the way I've presented it was very easy for brands to jump onto. People don't like to do a lot of thinking. If you could do the thinking for them, but then let them think that they thought of it, that usually helps. It depends. So for one-off pieces, I usually try and keep them affordable. So I have I have really affordable clothing brand, as affordable as possible. The profit's not very high, just because I have a very young audience and I want them to be able to buy it. And for one-off pieces, I usually do, for a rug, I'll do like 400. I usually do in dollars because most of my audience is in the US. But then for brands, you know, we'll go significantly higher than that because they actually have the funding. But also now I actually have an agent, which is great because what he'll do is he'll work off of usage as well. And I think one of the things as well that I said last time is that what you need to understand as well is that brands aren't just paying for the thing that you're making. If you have a reasonably large following, they're also paying for your audience, and they're also paying for production. So, you know, if a brand wants to do a video or a photo shoot, they have to hire a director, a photographer, lights, equipment, craft services, models, location, hands for the day, hair, makeup, wardrobe, transportation, all of this. No matter what, unless you're like a massive creator with like, you know, millions and millions, they're always getting a discount with what they're paying you. So don't be afraid to like really charge them. And then also one of the big things that my agent handles, which I have no idea about, is usage. So a lot of the time it'll be used worldwide, or it'll be used in perpetuity, or they want it for a certain amount of time. And then that becomes extra money because, you know, it could block another opportunity later. Like sometimes people want exclusivity, and it's like if you've done this job for £200 2 years ago, and now you charge them 20,000 because you've got, you know, 7 million followers. It's like, and then you can't do that deal because this £200 thing you did ages ago is blocked. You know what I mean? Like it's all of these little things that people don't really think about. So that's another factor. But yeah, it just depends on what it's for, really. A lot of the time, craft isn't scalable. At least not heritage anyway. It's usually like it's just very little machinery. It's not mass produced. It's obviously there's heart that goes into it, which is great for, you know, the spirit and the value of it. But in terms of actually like, you know, making a living, it can be hard because you've only got so many hours in the day, so many limbs. So being able to find ways to make your work scalable through content is really great because content stretches beyond the art form itself.